So we're in day 4 of the 5-day Trader Reboot Challenge. We have gone through the process, we have reviewed, we've reflected, we've constructed, and now here's something that some of you might be like, oh, this is ridiculous. But it's worth doing. And this is Visualise. This is day 4, this is Visualise. Stick around. Hey guys, warm welcome to you. Alright, so day 4 is the 5-day challenge. Hopefully you've gone through the process, you've reviewed, you reflected, you constructed your plan. Now, you might be like, what is this? But how many times have you had all good intentions and put a plan together and done this only to break it within a week? You've got all this done, you've done all this hard work, and that, I believe, is because you're not mentally prepared for it. You're trying to make all these drastic changes and do the reboot challenge, but you're not mentally prepared for the adjustments that are coming. And so I urge you to try this. It's a bit of your time, and if you've not done it before, I think you'll find it effective. So what we're trying to do here is we are going to visualize, and by the way, it's an S because I'm in the UK and I'll get some grief from that. From the US, it's a Z, but a lot of words like that in British English. But spelling aside, visualize is important because what it does is it rehearses our behavior in our mind. Now, I wasn't a big kind of advocate of this until I started doing it. I was like, hey, this is working. You know, just visualizing, opening these tickets and doing this action I wanted to repeat in my mind, in my trading, and it helped. Now, do I put it all down to that? No, I've got to put some work in as well. But at the same time, it's like it didn't take any time. Let's do it. And there's studies have shown, guys, as well, that people who are visualizing stuff as well as doing it get better results. They did a study with free throws, I think in basketball, where you've got people visualizing it, people doing it, people doing both, and the improvement came much more from the people doing both. So you may as well do this. And what this does is it prepares you mentally for the challenge you're about to have, because you don't want to be another person who does, yeah, clean slate, sounds great, let me go for it, let me do it, and then go, I ruined it after a week. Never mind, I'll go back to how I was doing. No. You're going to do it, you're going to do it properly. Let's skim across the surface and talk about what we need to do. So we went through, we reviewed, we reflected, we've now got a plan. So now when we're visualizing, and visualizing is really just the point of closing your eyes and thinking about stuff. And maybe you don't have to close your eyes, I guess the technicality there, but for me it's like closing my eyes and thinking about stuff. I do a lot of this type of stuff in my trading when I'm in a sauna or steam room, or even I'm swimming, or even you can be in a chair at night or whatever it is. So just thinking about your trading, and it's not letting your mind run away with stuff, and it's just saying, right, I'm going to focus on what I want to see. And there's a few things I think people make the error with, and some things that have helped me, which I'll share with you now. So there's 4 things to kind of visualize. One is your standards, one is your habits, one of the tests you'll have, and the last one is the outcomes. So what do I mean by this? What do I mean by standards? So this just comes back to maybe the professionalism section in the review part that we were looking at. How are your standards in trading? Do you accept trading when you haven't done your pre-market prep? Do you accept overriding your rules? Do you accept not being prepared for the trading day? Do you accept not bothering to journal? Is that what you accept from yourself? No, you don't accept that. You want to excel in this business. And so to excel in this business, you have to raise your standards up. And your standards have to be a lot higher. You have to say, hey, what do I need to do? How do I need to conduct myself? What's my character got to be like to be the trader I want to become? Now, I did a talk a while ago on this. We're talking about being the trader you want to become in 2022. So this is not more of the same, but the standards are important, because if you have those in your mind and you conduct yourself in that manner in your mind, when it comes to the day, you're like, oh, you know what? I fancy just kind of grabbing a bacon sandwich, sitting in my boxer shorts, slopping in front of the screen 1 minute before the bell and taking a trade. You go, whoa. That's not the standards I expect from you. You come to the trading screens early, you prepare, you have something that's not going to sit on your gut and drag all the blood from your brain. You just use some sense. You're risking capital. Sharpen up. Get a grip. It's an extreme example, but you get the idea. So your standards, you start to think about the standards you want. Then you start to visualize the habits that we talked about the habits. We talked about the plan. We talked about the habits as the last on that list on day 3. What are the habits you're going to do? And visualizing these helps make them become easier to do in the real world, so to speak. And that's the real world, but when you're in trading, so hey, my habit of you're visualizing your pre-market prep, you're visualizing going through that PDF, you're visualizing this, you're visualizing that, you're visualizing how you open your ticket, how you conduct your analysis. You always do top-down analysis, you always look for the risk, you always put your stop in. You visualize those habits that you know you can control. We talked about you can't control your goals, but you can control your habits. So you visualize you doing those things, then in your mind, it's kind of wiring those neurons, right? I don't know the science behind it, but I've read enough to know that the brain thinks that's the real world and starts to wire them, and the more they kind of go with that path, they become much thicker, and then the current runs there quicker. And then when you're about to trade, you're about to pull the trigger, I must always have a stop in, or whatever the habit may be. So visualize those. And then the test. So what I mean by a testing, you're going to be tested. And what does that mean? When you break your rules, you've normally broken your rules before, and you've crumbled, that's the test. You're like, okay, I'm not going to trade more than 4 times today, for example. Comes along, like, I want to trade that, I want to take that 5th trade because it looks so good. That's your test, and you end up just taking the trade because you're convinced that you should take it. So visualize yourself in those situations where you want to overtrade, you want to take an extra trade, you want to put a trade without a stop, you want to trade the open, you want to trade that other instrument, you want to break those rules, those boundaries you've set, and visualize yourself having that impact, visualize yourself passing that test and going, nope, I'm not trading the open because I said I wouldn't, and I'm going to stick to it. Oh yeah, but the market's moving, you're going to miss out, we'll call yourself a trader. No. I said I wasn't going to trade the open, that's in my rules. My character and conduct and standards are high, I'm passing this test. And you imagine yourself feeling that emotion but still doing the actions you want to do. And the final thing is the outcomes. I think it's healthy to go, hey, what does my trading look like in a year? What does my trading look like? Where does it take me? What is that opportunities that open up? And allow that kind of mind to just go wild, if you like. Because now you've tied it with some habits and standards and some of the things that can derail you, which are the tests. It starts to become like, well, actually, yeah, that's probably is possible. Yeah, you know what? You could be putting some of those numbers in. Yeah. And you start to get confidence and momentum. And then you go back and you say, well, what habits do I need to have to get that? And what do I need to do? And what are the standards I need to possess? And yes, I need to be I can't be managing a $4.5 million account if I'm not assessing the market conditions correctly every morning, or if I'm not journaling correct. Yeah, okay. And so you start to put it all together and it starts to work in your favor. So visualize, well worth doing. And guys, I do not proclaim to be an expert on this. Go and check out some other experts who talk about some of the process and how you kind of the brightness and all these other things and the smells and all this type of stuff. That's not the objective of this video. I'm definitely never pretend to be an expert on that by any stretch of imagination, but I definitely know that bringing this into your trading, especially in this 4th step from the Trading Reboot, can really help, because very often we go from constructing the plan to trading it, we do all this stuff and then it just falls apart. This is something you can do on day 4, but you can also follow through and continually do and set it in part of your habits and say, hey, one of my habits is before the trading day, I visualize me having the trading day, the market open, me placing good trades, me being tested, having a losing trade, and I visualize having a great day. Now you can't, imagine yourself into trading success, but you can force those habits that help you have trading success. You can force yourself, force is not really the right word, but you can reaffirm that the habits that you want to do that are going to make you have trading success, they're going to help you have trading success. So not over trading, all this kind of stuff. And that's the visualization process. It's not saying, I'm going to make money today, I'm going to make money today, I'm going to make money today. There's nothing wrong with having a kind of goal there, but hey, this is my habits. I'm going to get this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to come in, I'm going to see the market, I'm going to assess it, do my top down analysis, I'm going to go to a daily, or this, or the other, I'm going to structure my trade, I'm going to see if there's a valid trade, etc. I think you get the idea. All right, guys, that is day 4. Day 5, check it out.